Good afternoon, students. I welcome you to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, and you are in the virtual classroom or online classroom being organized by the university. And today we are going to deal with BA sixth semester paper titled English Fiction. Remember, this is a major paper in your program, BA program, and the title, the code for this program, this paper is a BA 60606 English. Okay, so once again, warm welcome, and today we will talk about this particular paper and different topics within this paper. Just to uh, ensure you are able to hear me, uh, can you please confirm whether I am audible to you? Are you able to hear my voice clearly? Yes, thank you so much. I think I'm audible, and let's move on. So as I told you, the title of the paper is English Fiction, right? This particular course or paper is divided into 5 different blocks. Block 1 talks about or deals with 18th century novel, whereas Block 2 deals with 19th century novel, and Block 3 deals with 20th century novel. Block 4 deals with uh, 20th century American fiction, and Block 5th deals with contemporary Indian English fiction. So the whole 15 different units or 15 major topics are divided into 5 different blocks, and these paper gives you a comprehensive overview of fiction in English or English fiction. Okay, and when we are talking about English fiction, it includes by default British fiction, British novel, as well as uh, American fiction, as well as some English fiction written in Indian uh, context. Okay, so more or less we have the 3 different sets of national literatures in this English fiction: British, American, as well as Indian. So this is a very interesting paper, and let us begin with what are the 15 different topics that we are going to study. Okay, so I think you are able to see the screen that I am sharing. This is a screen grab of the syllabus of BA 606 English paper. Okay, title English fiction. So as I told you, the first block has 3 units listed under 18th century novel, right? So first of all, there will be a small introduction, a very comprehensive yet meaningful introduction of the novel as a genre of literature, and then the unit 2 will talk about or will have Daniel Defoe's important novel called Robinson Crusoe, and the third unit will contains another important novelist, Henry Fielding's Joseph Andrews. Okay. Similarly, when we move to block 2 from block 1, which was about 18th century, in block 2 there is a discussion about 19th century novel. Okay. Again, we'll have some basic characteristics, some introduction about 18th century, 19th century novel, and then there are 2 sample texts prescribed. One is a very popular Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice is a novel, and then the other one equally important and equally popular, Charles Dickens Hard Times. And in the third block, which is about 20th century fiction, Yes, there is a introduction about what does we mean by modern or modernist novel. Okay, there is an introduction of it, and then there are two sample texts similar to block two and block one. In this block, there is block three. One novel that is Mrs. Dalloway is written by Virginia Woolf. The other novel, again, very popular and very colonial in uh, its nature, Heart of Darkness, which is written by Joseph Conrad. So this way, this block is about 20th century fiction. So now we'll moving on to block four. Block four is again 20th century, but in this case it is American fiction. Okay, in the previous block it is general British fiction, but of 20th century. But in block four, it is American fiction of 20th century. Then again, there is a introductory unit, and then there are two more unit. One is about Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, and the next one is Alice Walker's The Color Purple. Okay, and the block fifth, the last block in the course, in the paper, is about contemporary Indian English fiction, right? So in this again, you will have some introduction about what does it mean when we say Indian English fiction, right? What are different characteristics and other things, and some background and context. Okay, and then there are two again sample texts for reading. One is Arundhati Roy's The God of Small Things, and the other one is Amitav Ghosh, The Shadow Lines. Okay, so in this way, this one course that is English fiction introduces you to I think as many as six different novelists as well as their work. Okay, belonging to the British literature, and then there is introduction of two important novelists from American fiction, and then two novelists from Indian English fiction. Well, this course is very interesting because we'll deal with one of the versatile genre of literature called novel. Okay, so let us start with the basics first. You know that literature is divided into multiple areas, multiple major genres or categories, right? We have poetry, drama, right, prose, and then we have uh, within prose, we have fiction, right, non-fiction, and so out of these different genres, it all started with singing and poetry, and then gradually, as human civilization progressed, they started enacting, performing stories, right, and thereby started drama as a genre, and then later drama was also written, especially we know of Shakespearean times, right, where extensively English drama was written. Right, the tradition of drama goes back to Greeks, right? They are the champions. They are the ones who started this, uh, genre, drama, genre called drama. And yes, so uh, yes, from there, especially in the 17th and 18th century onwards, uh, there is a huge, tremendous change that has happened in the British or English society. That is the Industrial Revolution, right? That social change, right, and that social and economic change created a new class of people who were working class, and they had some time in their daily life when they were traveling from their homes to the industries and from industries to the home. So this time and uh, this time, needed something for them to refresh, to read and rejuvenate themselves, to entertain themselves. So therefore, a new genre emerged because of these social conditions. Okay, and that genre become fiction. And within fiction, you have short stories and novels as two dominant forms. Okay, so the novel, that's how fiction came into picture as a major category of literature, and two new genres of short story and novel emerged in, especially in 18th century. Okay, and well, so that's the very high level overview of uh, genre of novel. Now we'll try to see what were the uh, main main reasons for this 18th century novel to emerge. So we had a very high level and very brief overview of the syllabus, as well as a word or two about uh, about the 18th century, okay, novel. And let me actually take you directly to 18th century English novel as a topic. Okay, we'll start with the introduction, and then okay. So I think you are following me. Uh, Please bear with me if there are some network issues because of the connectivity, and I request you and urge you to remain connected. And if you are not able to, at any point, if you're not able, if I'm not audible and you are not able to hear me or see me, just send a chat message, right? Or raise your hand so that I can know there are connectivity issues. Okay. Yes. So I think now you are able to clearly see me. Okay. Well, so we are talking about 18th century novel, English novel, basically, right? As I told you, as a very rudimentary and basic, point that 18th century was the time when novel as a new genre emerged. Okay, so it was a time when for the very first time, English novel was written and started. Okay, and we don't know whether a novel was there prior to the English people writing novel in other civilization and in the other literature, but specific reference to English fiction, a novel as a new genre emerged, and many argue with the publication of Daniel Defoe's works. Okay, uh, well, the modern novel, basically the novel as a distinct genre emerged with the publication of Daniel Defoe's works. Okay, now 18th century, right? And when we say 18th century, it starts from 1700 onwards, and uh, and it goes up to 1799. Okay, now there is a small historical background to 18th century novel. Okay, uh, if we take for the sake of argument, and as a matter of fact, the rise of the novel was influenced by major changes, a few important and major changes in the English society. Okay, when we say English society, we refer to the British, people and their society. Okay, remember this. Yes. So there were at least three or four important factors that led to the rise of a new genre called English novel. Okay. The very first is, as I in the very beginning, I pointed to the industrialization. Okay, industrialization was single most important factor for a majority of changes that happened in the British society in the 18th century, and that those changes have impacted multiple aspects of the English life, the people, English people. Okay, uh, yes, the first and notable change because of industrialization was the growth of middle class as a new class of people, right? This middle class was people uh, was people working in industries for their livelihood. Okay, now you remember that prior to this time, prior to industrialization, British society and I think majority of other societies across the globe had agriculture as their main source of income, right? The labor, the efforts were dedicated to agriculture because agriculture was essential for the survival of humanity and survival of the civilizations. So most of the human civilizations focused on agriculture for their livelihood, for their work and everything. But industrialization in the 17th century led to drastic changes, and it led to the creation of a new class of people who were laborers, right, who were workers, right, and they dedicated their time and their skills and energies. Uh, I mean, to the production of variety of things in industries. Okay, so and this was the one major impact of industrialization, the creation of a new class called middle class, right, of working people. And the second important change or influence of impact of industrialization was the increase in literacy. Because of industrialization, more or more people were able to afford education to read, right, to learn reading and writing. Okay, and this was the second major impact of industrialization. This is a very positive impact, in fact. Okay, and third was uh, after the advent of invention of printing press, right? And this was the time industrialization and 18th century was the time when books which were earlier printed in very limited numbers and there were a lot of manual labor was involved in printing and publishing books. It changed because of industrialization. Now printing could be done through machines, and that made a huge difference in production. Okay, so as a result, a lot of books could be printed and printed as well as distributed very cheap or at a very no, affordable cost. Okay, I wouldn't say cheap at affordable prices. So purchasing a book and buying a book and reading became affordable, right? Convenient because of the invention of printing press as well as mass production industries. And the fourth important point was a rise of individualism. So as industries changed other aspects of life. It also changed how uh, people viewed at themselves and their importance and their significance in the contribution of the society. Okay, just a second. Yes, so we were talking about at least four important uh, impact, four important aspects of life or impact of industrialization. Number one, growth of the middle class. Two, increase in literacy. Number three, printing press and its expansion, which led to books becoming cheaper. And number four, rise of individualism, which means every individual focused on personal identity and their experience. So these were the four important changes that happened because of industrialization in the British or English society. Okay, so we'll move on to some of the key features of 18th century novel. I think prior to that, I'll also talk about. Yeah, we'll move on to uh, uh, we'll talk about one or two points about British society, and then we'll move on to the key features of 18th century novel. Sorry for interruption. Yeah, we'll be back on the background in which this novel emerged. Okay, we know that primarily the British society was agrarian in nature, and as a result of installation, people moved from agricultural labor to working in uh, industries and using their different skills, right? And then it led to it led to purchasing car. People who were earlier not able to afford a lot many things because of less appreciation for their work in the agriculture sector and leads to uh, payment in the agriculture sector. Now, when they move to industries were paying better compared to agricultural sector, and also the payment was relatively quicker. Right? For example, in agriculture sector, the payment might have been every 6 months or at least every quarter. But in industries, it was either monthly or weekly. So the reward for the work was uh, very appealing. So many people moved to industries and served in industries with the skills and experience. Okay, and because there is a money, the lifestyle has also changed, and people who were interested in books, they were buying books because printing was also printing had become cheaper and affordable. And also they realize the importance of their identity, their experience, their existence. So there was also rise of individual. Okay, let's move on to some key features of 19th, 18th century novel. Okay, there were many interesting features one can observe in the uh, observe in the English fiction. Okay, starting with realism. Now, realism. What is realism basically? Realism is actually a technique of creating novels and short stories, and also in other forms of literature, stories that represent the reality. Okay. For example, if there is a story in which you are creating uh, a place, right? So that place would resemble some existing place, right? If not completely, but in some form or the other, the place created in a story as a fiction represented the place that exists in our life. Okay, in actual life. Similarly, uh, when a character is created, right, that character would not be, completely utopian, right? Something the reader might never have seen in life, right? That only existed in fairy tales. No, so the novel that the characters created would be like somebody as a worker, somebody as a manager, somebody as a person whom you come to see in your day-to-day life, right? Uh, come to see in day-to-day life. Okay. Those type of characters, that type of setting was created as a technique. So that became a main feature in 18th century novel, and that is known as realism, right? So stories depict ordinary life, believable situation, and practical morality and other things. So that's why when you read about later, when you read about uh, Charles Dickens and other English writers, you realize that they have created real time situations of the British society in their novels. They have created characters who resemble more or less the people that exist in the British society of the time, right? So they created cities, they created roads, they created places that resemble more or less the societies that existed in the society in the Britain, right, or places around it. Well, so that's what's all about uh, realism. Okay, now coming to individualism, that's a another very important key feature of 18th century novel. Okay, this actually individualism, as I told you, is a focus on personal growth and character development. It's a focus on personal identity and experience, right? So the characters created in fiction, right? Those character were aware of their identity. Those characters were focusing on their own subjective and personal experience of things around them, and those characters were concerned about their own growth, right, their development. Okay, so this is another technique, and which exists as a important feature English in English novel. And the third important feature that we come across in in British, 18th century novel, English novel is moral purpose, right? And when we read and come to know that these writers through their works, through their novels, were, 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 were aiming to champion some morality, some ethical, they want to know, they aim to teach, ethical lessons, right, moral lessons through their stories, right? So there, see, the society uh, typically, follows morality and ethics, right? And each society is different, and majority of the societies are driven by religion. So those the morality that exists in the society, the ethics that exist in the society, is either influenced by religion or is a product of religion itself. Okay, so these writers who were representing the society of their type, right? They championed and they tried to teach certain moral and ethical lessons through their own novels. So this was this was the third important feature of 18th century novel. And then the fourth one is in the very nascent and beginning stage of novels. A novel started in the form of letter. So the earliest forms of uh, novel were written in letter writing style. So that's why they are called epistolary form. Okay, epistolary novels, right? Uh, yes, and then the fifth important feature is a detailed narrative. So from being letter writing style novels, the novel also grew and developed, right, at the hands of different writers, right? And eventually the novel become very rich uh, in descriptions of the society, setting, people, mindset and behavior. Okay, so all these things contributed in the progress and growth of novel in the later centuries. So a novel emerged basically in the 18th century and carried a lot of important features that we discussed just now. Okay, now let's also look at some important and major representative novelists and their important works. For example, as I told you, many people regard Daniel Defoe as one of the initial novelists in the English uh, fiction. Okay, so Daniel Defoe is known for Robinson Crusoe. He's a very famous novel. Okay, and he's also, as I told you, is regarded as one of the first English novelists, right? And Robinson Crusoe's novel is a departure from earlier novelists. Like for example, as I told you, earlier novelists tried writing a novel in the form of letter writing style. Okay, epistolary, but a descriptive and rich descriptive novel started at the hands of Daniel Defoe. So that's why he is regarded as one of the first English novelists. Okay, his novels talks about survival, realism, individual effort, and all. Okay, so when we take up Robinson Crusoe for discussion, we'll have a lot more detail, points to discuss under Robinson Crusoe. But remember, Daniel Defoe is regarded as one of the first English novelists, and he writes more about survival and realism. Okay, and the second important is Samuel Richardson. Samuel Richardson is known for his two important works, Pamela and Clarissa. These are basically epistolary novels, as I told you. So Samuel Richardson wrote novels in the form of letters. So his novels, Pamela and Clarissa, are the classical and example of epistolary novels. And again, he talks about morality, virtue, inner emotions, and all. Okay, unlike Daniel Defoe, who focuses on survival and realism, here he talks about morality and virtue. Another important novelist of 18th century English fiction is Henry Fielding. Okay, you might have heard of Tom Jones, right? He's very famous novel, and Henry Fielding is known for humor and satire. Okay, and his agenda is to criticize social hypocrisy of the English society. And similarly, you have Lawrence Stern. He is famous for Tristram Shandy. Again, this is a experimental. Sorry, it's a novel which is experimental, and he tried his hands at different narrative style. He focuses on psychology and narrative playfulness. Okay, and the fifth important novelist of 18th century is uh, Tobias Smollett. Okay, this novelist is famous for Roderick Random. Okay, this is a picaresque novels, nothing but novel of adventure of a rogue hero. When we say picaresque novel, it contains a rogue hero, and it's about adventure of that hero. Okay, so these are some of the important novelists of 18th century. And as the century progressed, as the genre moved from 18th to 19th century and 20th century, we see a lot many novelists and their contributions. Okay. Uh, in the 18th century, we come across four different important types of novel: realistic novel, novel that is based on real life situation; epistolary novel, novel written in letter forms, for example Pamela and Clarissa; picaresque novel, novel of adventure of the rogue hero, that is Roderick Random. Okay, and then also sentimental novel, focus on emotions and virtue. So these are important types of novel that we come to see in 18th century. So it means to know the 18th century novel uh, is important because it established novel as dominant literary genre, a new genre for mass reading, especially of the working class. Okay. Earlier, people who were able to read, right, belong to the elite class where poetry and drama was the dominant form, and they alone had the access to those things. But novel novel in a way, in some way or the other, liberalize as well as uh, catered to uh, actually liberalize the literature, liberalize the literature away from elite class, and uh, it catered to the working class and the poor class. Okay, and it actually also reflected social realities and moral concerns, and these social realities and moral concerns were related to the majority of the masses who were working people, who were laborers, and who were non-elite. Okay, uh, and the 18th century novel, later the novelist of 18th century influence the uh, writers of the next generations, including Jane Austen and Charles Dickens. And with this, a very strong, foundation uh, of modern fiction was laid. in the British society, which later moved to different societies and enrich the literature. Okay, so with this, I think introduction and with this overview, uh, we are ready to take up Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe and Henry Fielding's Joseph Andrews in our next class in a detailed manner. Okay, so uh, in this class we try to have a complete picture of the syllabus uh, of this course, that is English fiction, which is divided into 5 different blocks containing 15 different units, right? Each block has an introduction and two sample novels. Therefore, we have 6 novels from the British, fiction, and 2 novels from American fiction, and 2 from contemporary Indian fictions. So there are as many as 6 plus 4, that is 10 novels to read in this course, and each block gives an introduction of each of the area that we read, and the sample text that we are going to study. Okay, so after that, we looked at the background and social and political background in which a new genre called modern fiction, or a new genre called novel emerged, right? So we tried to uh, understand that the growth of the middle class, increase in literacy, printing press expansion, and rise of individualism, all because of industrialization was uh, were prominent to know effects of industrialization, right? And that to know changed the British society for better. Okay, and it moved the society from agrarian economy to industrialized economy, and as a result a lot of good things have happened. Okay, and these 18th century novel has some 4 to 5 important features, including realism, individualism, moral purpose, epistolary form, and detailed narrative. Okay, and among the important novelists were Daniel Defoe, Samuel Richardson, Henry Fielding, Lawrence Stern, Tobias Smollett. Okay, and in 18th century, 4 important new no, types of novel emerged in the very beginning itself, right? Epistolary novel, realistic novel, picaresque novel, and sentimental novel. Okay, why 18th century novel is important? Because it established novel as a dominant literary genre. It reflected social realities and concerns, and it influenced writers like later generation writers like Jane Austen, Charles Dickens, and it laid the foundation for modern fiction. Okay, so 18th century novel represents a turning point in literary history. It transforms storytelling by focusing on real people, real problems, and moral reflection, thereby making literature more accessible and meaningful to common readers. Okay, so with this, I think we'll try to wind up today's class, and I request you to join the next scheduled classes so that we'll take up different texts prescribed in this course. So with this, let's call it a day. Thank you so much for joining. See you tomorrow at the same time.